Okay, so the rumor mill is, I've already done a separate video on this, that Anthony Joshua, and again, it's rumor, we haven't really heard much. Eddie Hearn is still talking about Joshua, having, I think he said, I don't know, did he say he's had surgery? I was reading the TalkSport article the other day where I think he was mentioning that AJ is in the process of, coming back from an injury and he should be good to go kind of come the end of the summer, stuff like that. But we're hearing rumors that he is on the verge of signing a 3-fight deal with Turkey Al Sheikh Riyadh season, and you would imagine that those would be the final 3 fights of Anthony Joshua's career, because he has talked about, even before he lost, I was going to say Andy Ruiz, but even before he lost to Daniel Dubois last year, he had talked about basically being done by boxing by I think October of next year. All right, so you would imagine 3 fights between now and then. It's feasible, certainly, yeah, it definitely is, provided you don't get injuries and stuff like that. Very much feasible, and it would culminate in Tyson Fury, of course. Now, that's interesting because Fury released a video a few days ago where he was basically saying that, yes, I'm retired, this, that, and the other, and saying like, what reason do I have to come back to boxing, etc., 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 right? And I said in that video, and I'll reiterate it, that his time of announcing his retirement was very, sus. He did it on the day that they were doing the press conference for the last Crescendo, and then in kind of fight week, well, not fight week, sorry, but in press week for Usyk Dubois, he's, I'm with Sugar Hill, I'm this, and it's kind of like you're picking very, unique times. I can't say it's coincidence, the sort of way that you're announcing this, that, not even announcing, but you're hinting at things during that time. But it got me thinking about this Joshua fight, if it happens, which I think it's likely it probably will. Probably not this year, but if it's true, if those rumors are true, it may very well happen next year. It got me thinking, right? Fury is he's basically making Joshua do all the work. And Fury has a history of doing this. Now hear me out, right? For how long was he just flat out dismissing fighting Alexander Usyk? 2023, early that year, kind of March time, right? There was talk that Usyk, well, they were trying to negotiate it from even before that, even actually before, I think it was even after Fury fought Deontay Wilder for the third time, because you had Joshua who gave interviews with Cook and Cassius. I believe he was in Dubai or somewhere like that, where he was even mentioning the fact that, if step aside money, because he obviously had the rematch in place for Alexander Usyk, he was even saying, like, if the money is right, go and do what you got to do, I'll fight the winner. And, Fury was like, I need a warm-up fight, which is kind of crazy because you've just fought Deontay Wilder in the trilogy fight. What warm-up do you need? He then, has the Dylan White fight, then has Chisora of all people, and then we think we're going to get into the Alexander Usyk negotiations, and it's all going to go swimmingly. It didn't. Early on, anyway, it didn't go swimmingly. And, you had Tyson Fury moving the goalposts again and again and again and again, and it just seemed like this fight was never going to happen. And it did seem, because Fury is the younger man, he's not much younger, it's about, 18 months thereabouts. But it did seem like he was trying to age Usyk out, because Usyk would have to fight his mandatories, because obviously he's got all those belts. The WBC were giving Fury carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, and they were not going to force a mandatory on him. That's why he fought Francis Ngannou, which turned out to be a much tougher fight than he anticipated, but that's partially down to Fury not taking it serious and not doing his training. During which time Alexander Usyk fights Daniel Dubois, wins it soundly. I mean, it wasn't even a close fight, but obviously there was the point of contention, which there really isn't a point, which was the low blow. That's exactly what it was. And that was a vulnerability. That was the vulnerability that Fury was waiting for, plus the paycheck from Turkey Al Sheikh, and that was the, I'm going to have him now. Essentially tried to age Usyk out. It backfired, right? It did. And I suspect this is something the same with Anthony Joshua. Now, is much further gone at this point than Usyk was, or even still is now, quite frankly, to be honest with you, because Anthony Joshua, we don't know how he's going to come back. I'm really skeptical, because we've seen him be very gun shy post Dylan White, even against Usyk after both fights, and he wasn't down. He was stunned in the first fight a couple of times, but he wasn't down in either of those fights. But against Dubois, he was down several times, heavy knockdowns, and then face planted the canvas on the final knockdown. So I think Joshua is going to be jittery as hell when he comes back. And a beating like that, down multiple times and taking loads of clean headshots as well, it's going to put miles on the clock, to say the least. So I think right now, I mean, like, Joshua's probably aged out to the point where I would be making Fury firm favourite. But he's still probably going to make Anthony Joshua go through all those hoops of having to fight the Dylan White of the world, apparently the Jared Andersons of the world, which is a very random match, but AO. And then he'll go into a Fury fight. And Fury, likelihood is, he will have had probably no fights in between. I doubt he will, because Fury's always been that sort of way. If he is going to have a fight in between, it's going to be a fight that he is guaranteed to win. And, there's no such thing as a guarantee. The Francis Ngannou fight told us that. But that is the MO of Tyson Fury. He will probably be in the gym. If that fight happens, we'll say in a year's time, let's say it happens in July next year, hypothetically speaking, right? And Joshua will have fought Dylan White and Jared Anderson in between. Probably won't take much damage against White, but will definitely take at least a bit of damage against Jared Anderson. Maybe even lose the fight, who knows? Fury, on the other hand, will be able to prepare in the gym. He'll be able to prepare for Anthony Joshua, that particular style, train for it for a year, go into that fight with no real wear and tear from the previous year in terms of miles in the clock and sparring and professional fights. And he'll probably go in there and do a demolition job at Anthony Joshua. Quite frankly, I think he most likely will. And what will happen then is that there'll be this narrative that he would always have beaten Anthony Joshua, which is not necessarily the case. I would always probably favour Fury over Joshua, yes, most likely, but a younger, fresher Anthony Joshua against the Fury who, say, fought Wilder in the trilogy fight, or one of those, or even the Fury who fought Usyk both times, I would say, yeah, I give that Joshua a very good chance. Maybe the Joshua who fought Povetkin against the Fury who fought Wilder in the trilogy fight, I'd give him a very good chance. Maybe even in the rematch, I'd give him a chance. It's a competitive fight, very competitive. But an AJ, even now, in a year's time with more wear and tear, who's had 2 fights where he may have taken some more damage, I can't see how he beats Tyson Fury. And again, that narrative will be, well, Fury would have always beaten him, because that's the narrative that they come with. With the Tyson Fury fans, when Fury lost, well, in particular when he lost the rematch to Alexander Usyk, of course the fans were coming out and saying it was a robbery, this, that and the other. Of course that they will say that. Whatever Fury says is true in their opinion. It doesn't matter. The earth is flat. Tyson Fury said it, so it must be true. That's that's literally what you're dealing with. But they also couldn't stop bringing up the fact that Joshua lost to Dubois, which has nothing to do with Fury losing to Alexander Usyk, which is really bizarre. Like, that I just do not understand. Tyson Fury thinks he got robbed against... Well, Joshua got knocked out by Dubois. Like, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with this? There's literally nothing to do with it. It's well done on Daniel Dubois. What does that have to do with Tyson Fury and Usyk? It's literally nothing. So that's the narrative I think they'll come with if they do this. So essentially, it's mental really when you think about it, that Fury, likelihood is going to stay retired for the next year, probably come out of retirement to fight Anthony Joshua, who may have likely had 2 fights. One of them might have been a tough fight, and then will be able to just walk into that fight, probably win, most likely win, say I would have always beaten him, and God only knows, he might walk into a title fight off the back of that, which would be really, that wouldn't be right as far as I'm concerned. It just would not be right at all. But that's the way boxing is, I'm afraid. And look, at the end of the day, you've got Manny Pacquiao fighting for a WBC welterweight title. If Fury fought Joshua in a year's time, and that'll be a year and a half, it will be a year and a half out of the ring, thereabouts anyway, the WBC or WBA, even the IBF or WBO, one of them would say, oh, well, you beat Joshua, who was ranked, you can fight for a title, you can fight, probably won't be Usyk, he'd probably be gone by then. But you know what I mean? It'll probably be, you can fight Daniel Dubois, you can fight Joseph Parker, you can fight Moses Itauma. Yeah, go for it. And, I don't think that's right. And I reckon that's in all likelihood that's the plan that Tyson Fury had. Because I think it's unfair that if you want, and you never make plans in boxing, Turkey should know about that. How many plans has Turkey made over the last year, 18 months, where he's had this fight lined up and this fight lined up? Look at the Times Square show. Haney Garcia too, that's gone up in the air, hasn't it? That's really gone up in the air. Joshua versus Wilder after the day of reckoning, that went up in the air. Joshua Fury, etc. They've all gone up in the air because you're planning too far ahead. Boxing, anything can happen. It doesn't just have to be heavyweight, although it tends to happen more in heavyweight. It could be any division. But, we've seen this go and backfire on Turkey before. But Fury essentially making Anthony Joshua jump through the hoops. And that's essentially kind of, when you think about it, what it is. Or certainly the Saudis potentially making Joshua jump through the hoops to fight Tyson Fury. And I already think Joshua's damaged. Against Dylan White, probably won't take much damage. But against Jaron Anderson, if he's game, you might take some damage. Seriously, you might. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it personally. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. As always, if you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Peace.